Hey everybody, it's Curse, and today I wanted to share with you the build that I'm planning to play for patch 1.2 of last Epoch that's coming out tomorrow. I'm sorry it took me a while to come up with this video, but I was debating whether or not I wanted to play this build for a while, primarily because I'm not a big fan of the Marksman passive tree. I'm gonna be honest, I think it's just not amazing. It's defensively very weak. Offensively, it's all right, but defensively, it is fairly lackluster. But either way, I think, decide finally that I will go with Marksman and I will be playing Heartseeker. And I'm just going to quickly go through the rough plan here. I'm not going to go in great detail like a lot of my build guides, but once we prove the concept that we're going for with the new patch, I'm eventually going to do a proper build guide, probably 3, 4, 5 days after the patch drops. High level here, what we're trying to do is we are playing around Heartseeker as a physical damage attack, bow attack, and we're adding a cooldown. And we're trying to make the most giga damage 3 second or whatever 2 second cooldown Heartseeker attacks that we can. And the way that we do that is through numerous massive multipliers. And I've put them all here for you. So if we have guaranteed crit, the critical multiplier that we're aiming for is around 550. Heartseeker, there's effective damage based on the formula or the spreadsheet that I shared recently is 1546. So that's massive as every single attack. And true, we have it on a 2 second cooldown, but every single attack we get so much out of. And that is because we aim to stack around 250% extra recurve with 66% minimum recurve and also bone piercer. So altogether, thanks to all of that, we get 1546 effective damage for every single Heartseeker attack. But then we're also running Arrow of the Ravager, which is a 50% more damage multiplier. This point right here. We're running at 1 point in Against All Odds for removal of dodge. We have Umbral Resolution, which is Dark Quiver. And so this is assuming that we can get 3 shadows up every 2 seconds, which is very doable thanks to Smoke Bomb. And that is a 3.5x multiplier. It's absolutely massive. It's ridiculous. And this is one of the reasons we opt for adding a cooldown to Heartseeker, just to give us an opportunity to get those shadows up. Then we also have Archer's Focus right here, extra mana consumed. Armor Shred, the soft cap for it is 80% more damage. And Marksman has a lot of easy ways to stack Armor Shred. Also, our Quiver gives us the Armor Shred that we need. Coated Blades is a Marksman passive, or Rogue passive rather, up here. So another 40 mana consumed. So essentially every 2 seconds, we need to be regenerating something like 60, 70 mana. And to do that, we get Sapping Strikes, 8 mana, and then another 15, 23 mana total for Mana Warp. Together with our mana regen is going to come from Puncture with Mind Piercer. So that's 27 mana per hit coming back from Puncture. So that's how we sustain Coated Blades. Then Rest Shred, that should be another 120% multiplier if we have 10 stacks of Fizz Rest Shred. Then we have increased damage. So this is just generic physical or bow increased damage. I've put it at 600, but we can likely get it up a little bit higher. And finally, we have the Crystal Wind Quiver, which you can fairly safely get 4 stacks every time you attack with Heartseeker. And then you get that 60% multiplier. So between all these multipliers and also running a 220 flat bow damage, thanks to Morning Frost. And by the way, this is another reason I was reluctant a little bit to play Marksman. You're almost pigeonholed into Morning Frost if you're going for a crit build, which is a little bit unfortunate. But I do like the sound of the Heartseeker skill, so we're going for it. And Morning Frost is an amazing way to boost that damage. As you can see here, bow damage, we start with 56 adaptive and another 125 cold damage on top of that. So that's how we get about 6 million damage for every single Heartseeker cast, at least based on our current estimates here. And also these are very much high-end estimates after tons and tons of farming. So it's a fairly optimized endgame setup that we have proposed here. It is very respectable damage. We should be able to cruise through most of the endgame. And the only question mark is whether or not we're going to be able to do Uber, Aberoth. I'm not sure what kind of tackiness, survivability, mobility is necessary for it. We do have a lot of move speed though, so that's a plus for the build. In terms of survivability, most of it is coming from just some health stacking, as well as getting silver shroud stacks through smoke bomb and silver shroud stacks from your passive tree. So those are some guaranteed dodge chances. Then we have some mediocre dodge chances through just dodge stacking as well. But you certainly want to stack HP on your idols. And then you can take a look at exactly what I've gone for here. But I wouldn't put too much weight on these idols. I'm not sure how easy or how difficult, how rare some of these idol affixes are going to be, how easy it's going to be to farm exactly the idol that you want. So that is yet to be determined. But these are good aspirational idols to look out for. Percent health on basically all of these 3x1s. In terms of itemization, Flight of the Fists is how we get our max crit chance. It makes it just so much easier. And then we focus on survivability from a lot of our other item slots. This quiver is amazing for DPS. Survivability on the Omnis. Survivability from the red rings. And if you do opt for red rings, you have to heavily focus on attribute stacking. Boots, we can do MS and cooldown. I want cooldown on my belt as well. Tier 5 is fine. Just to bring the cooldown of both Heartseeker as well as Smoke Bomb. Those are the highest priority skills. And then hybrid health and just crit multi, dexterity, bit of crit chance here and there. You can take a deeper look at the itemization. In terms of skills, Heartseeker, Dark Quiver, Smoke Bomb, and Puncture are mandatory, but Decoy is not. I actually don't think it belongs in the build. It just doesn't fit quite right. I don't think the shadows created here is going to bring too much value to the build. So this is a flex slot that I'm going to be testing out and playing around with, and I'll see what else might be feasible here. But Decoy is an okay option. It gives us some armor shred, it gives us 3 shadows. The only issue is the mana consumption, the mana cost that it has. But overall, it's alright. Blessings are fairly straightforward. The only ones worth noting are maybe the max mana. Without that, we're gonna run into a situation where we can only cast 1 Heartseeker before running out of mana. So make sure to get some mana in your gear or blessings, just to get it up to maybe 200, maybe 250 if possible. Even 200 is a bit on the low side, but should be manageable. Again, some of this is up to how you feel with the build, and we'll have to test it out. The crit chance here says 67%. But that is primarily because it is lacking this incremental 6% flat that Heartseeker gets. So that is the endgame setup, at least roughly the endgame setup that I'm going to be going for. But there's also, I put together the leveling setup that I'm going to be going with. And essentially we're looking for Puncture Bleed. I tested out Puncture with Shadow Daggers as well as Puncture with Bleed. And I actually felt that Bleed Puncture was smoother overall compared to Shadow Daggers. Rapid Strikes is amazing for leveling just because the gameplay loop plays really well around it. You essentially run forward a lot. Every now and then you stop and you want to shoot pretty much 3 times exactly, and everything or most things die because of your bleed stacks. Umbral Blades is a great source of additional damage, and it's very passive as well. You just drop it. And then it inflicts Shadow Daggers, which is tremendous DPS, even though we're wielding a bow. And we also opt for Smoke Bomb Traversal, which, by the way, transitions really well into the Heartseeker build because that one also uses Smoke Bomb Traversal, but also has these hidden blows, which give you 200% puncture bleed chance, as long as you're inside the smoke cloud. Keep that in mind. All of these setups are just to showcase how you're going to get to 50 skill points, which unlocks Heartseeker, because you need 20 in Rogue and then 30 in Marksman. And then you can finally start enjoying Heartseeker. We'll see how strong it is early on. I'm not sure. It might be better for single target and a little bit weaker against lots of enemies. So you might want to keep Puncture Bleed just for clear purposes, and then Heartseeker might kick in a little bit later. It's still something that we'll have to determine and we'll have to test out tomorrow when the patch drops. A lot of the items that I have are fairly simple tier 2s and tier 1s, not even yellow. And surely you will have like yellow items. But what you want to be going for is physical damage, because that scales both your shadow daggers that you get from Umbral Blades, but also your puncture hits and your puncture bleeds, and eventually your Heartseeker. It's great future proofing for the build. Damage over time is okay. Throwing damage is okay because we will have a little bit of shadow dagger damage. Resistances where you can get them. Movement speed rings ideally, just because clearing the campaign requires a lot of MS. MS on the boost takes priority over other stats. Some dexterity here and there doesn't hurt, but overall, your survivability mostly will be coming from health. And don't ask me about the Weaver tree. I have no idea what I'm going to be going for. We will see tomorrow. I don't even know what's on the Weaver tree, to be honest. Part of me is just excited to try it out, to explore it, and think through what kind of builds I want to be going for on the Weaver tree. So we will see. But yeah, that's my plan for tomorrow. I wanted to keep it a little bit high level because I don't want to be too prescriptive. I think day 1 and day 2 of a new patch drop, you should be exploring, you should be trying things out. Don't just try to go for the best build or the build that is proven strongest or is the most S tier. Try the game out, try the new skills, try the changes to Paladin, to Forge Guard, try wielding a two-hander with Forge Guard. Just do whatever you want, enjoy life, and then if you ever get stuck, you can always defer to a build guide on the internet. But until then, I definitely recommend YOLOing it up. Anyways, I'll be streaming tomorrow first thing. I'm glad I took some days off. It's been a super busy week for me, so I'm gonna relax, enjoy the new patch, and I hope to see all of you there leveling alongside me and getting those amazing drops. Much love, everybody. Thank you so much, and go chiso, sama deshita.